The CBAM's key objective is to regulate worldwide carbon emissions and promote cleaner production processes across the globe. On the 17th May 2023, the European Union regulation on the CBAM was adopted. This will further help in contributing to the European Union's goal of achieving climate neutrality by the year 2050. Having understood which products will get mostly affected by the implementation of CBAM, let's now find out whether CBAM is associated with all three scope emissions. Is CBAM applicable to Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions? The scope of greenhouse gas emissions under CBAM is tightly linked with the emission scope established by the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. Let's understand how. When we talk about direct emissions under CBAM, it equals the Scope 1 emissions under the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which include emissions during the production process due to the combustion of fuel, heating or cooling process, and material chemical reaction. Likewise, under CBAM, indirect emissions refer to Scope 2 and 3 emissions of the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. Reporting on Scope 2 emissions under CBAM emphasizes electricity usage, including lighting and air conditioning of the premises, during the production of goods listed in the CBAM scope. Measuring Scope 3 emissions under CBAM needs importers to report emissions from the production of precursor input materials that are already included in the CBAM scope, such as steel, aluminum, cement, fertilizers, and hydrogen. Now, let's think through and dig into the advantages that the CBAM brings along. Leveling the playing field. By imposing a similar carbon tax on the companies importing carbon-intensive goods as the domestic companies of the European Union, CBAM helps bridge the gap of disparity, ensuring importers do not undercut local businesses because they are functioning in countries with weaker emissions-related regulations. Advocating global carbon reduction. By imposing a carbon tax on importers, the CBAM impels the foreign manufacturers to regulate their carbon footprint by adopting sustainable manufacturing practices. This leads to a ripple effect, promoting a collaborative effort towards achieving global carbon reduction. Aligning with domestic climate goals. Being seamlessly aligned with domestic and international climate targets, CBAM makes sure that all the goods used over the territory of the European Union justify its climate goals while preserving public support for strict climate regulations. Encouraging innovation and investment. With the introduction of CBAM, the importers of carbon-intensive goods can think of innovative ways to reduce emissions while remaining competitive in the global market. This can result in huge investments in green technologies and various sustainable practices. Minimizing carbon leakage. By ensuring that the imported goods are liable to similar climate policies as the goods produced locally, CBAM helps lower carbon leakage, which occurs when businesses move their goods production to countries with lenient regulations, ruining the domestic emissions reduction initiative. In the coming years, the future of European Union CBAM appears to be impressive since it holds the potential of getting massively evolved alongside the European Union's greater climate strategy. Sectors such as the ones responsible for the most carbon leakage and likewise who profit from the free allowances under the European Union emissions trading system are likely to witness these allowances being phased out and replaced by the CBAM. Coming to the European Union CBAM tax amount, it will be quite small in the year 2026, but will grow exorbitantly from the advent of 2030 with the gradual elimination of free allowances. With the increase in the CBAM tax, the CBAM will build incentives for governments around the world to contemplate embracing carbon pricing. Eventually, it is possible that CBAM will encompass all the goods that are covered by the European Union emissions trading system, which comprises refined petroleum products, crude petroleum, oils or fats, iron and ferrous ores, textile fibers, ceramics, dyes and pigments, paperboards and pulp paper, malt, sugar, starch, and basic pharma, to name a few. CBAM, while being praised for its advantages, also stands at the receiving end of criticism. Many countries perceive CBAM to be discriminatory, terming it a one-sided or, to be specific, a protectionist measure taken by the European Union to shift the cost of carbon emissions to other countries, largely impacting the developing nations in particular. The four large emerging economies known as basic countries comprising Brazil, South Africa, India and China have asked to postpone or repeal CBAM entirely. Even the United States of America is likely to take reactive measures to show its disagreement with CBAM. In addition, the whole design of CBAM, including the verification of emissions embedded in imports, is highly complex, and the fact that it needs cooperation from other nations makes the implementation process even more challenging. CBAM signifies a considerable transition, integrating environmental accountability into international trade. It leads us to a world where sustainability is at the core of trading activities. However, it is also essential for the CBAM to align seamlessly with a trade policy that offers due assistance and leeway for the developing nations to adapt. This may cover phased implementation as well as capacity building programs for the most struggling economies. Such a nuanced approach will not only preserve the European Union's values of open and fair trade across the globe, but will also promote worldwide collaboration to combat climate change, ascertaining a fair and just transition for all. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more delightful content. See you again.